Assalamu alaikum. My name is Mohammed Zainzia and my team members are Syed Ahmed Maaz, Ahmed Naveed Asif and Ahmed Abu Bakr. The topic of presentation will be Cutter, which is a reverse engineering tool. Cutter can be downloaded from this given URL cutter.re and there is no need to install the file. We can just use the tool by running the exe file downloaded. To open a file in Cutter, we click on the select button and just select the file that we want to open. Cutter will open the file and show us information on the dashboard like file hashes, binary format, and imported libraries, along with other information. Using the tabs at the bottom, we can navigate over to the strings section, and this section shows us the strings that were extracted from the binary that we selected. These strings can contain useful information and can be a good starting point for malware analysis. Next, in the import section, Cutter shows us a list of Windows APIs which were imported by the selected file. We can use these to gather information about what the malware might try to do. For example, if the malware imports Internet Open and Internet Open URL libraries, then we can safely assume that it is trying to communicate with some server on the internet. Next, the graph section shows us a graphical view of the flow of the code, and we can use it to understand the decompiled version of the code very easily. For example, we can see conditional code in this diagram. The top block checks for a value in the EX register. If that value is not present, if the value in the register is not equal to our tested value, then it executes the right block, otherwise it will execute the left block. Next, in the decompiled section, we can see an interpretation of how the code would have originally been written. We can use this to understand the functionality of a code in a logical way. For example, in this image we can see that the malware downloads a file from a URL and saves it to the documents folder. It also opens the URL huskyhacks.dev, which may be the command and control server, and it is also executing the downloaded file using the shell execute API. Near the end of the code, we can see that the malware includes a delay of 3 seconds to evade detection, and it also deletes the code after execution using the delete command. Now I will demonstrate how we can use Cutter to analyze a malware file. When we open Cutter, it will ask us to select a file that we want to analyze. We can select the file and open and proceed with the default options. After a few seconds, we can see the dashboard and the overview will be shown to us. For example, we have some general information here as well as the hashes plus some other analysis. Down here we can go to the strings tab and view the strings that have been extracted from the malware, and we can see some useful strings here. For example, we can see a command here as well as another command, and we can see a few paths which can be useful in further analysis. In the imports tab, we can see Windows API libraries that have been used in the malware. For example, we can see Internet Open and Internet Open URL libraries. This can also be useful in further analysis. Next, we can go to graph, and to see the correct code, we first of all need to navigate to main. This will be the code that we want to analyze. And we can see a graphical view of how the code has been structured. For example, we can see a condition here as mentioned before in this presentation. And lastly, we can go to the decompiler, and this will show us the closest view of how the malware was originally written. Lastly, we can go to the decompiler, and here we can see the closest view of how the malware was originally coded. For example, we can see the library called, we can see the main function, we can see the variables used, we can also see the condition that was used, which we saw in the graph. That was all for our presentation. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.